Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Marvel Movie News.
Good morning, Merry Marvelites. We are back for Marvel Movie News. Very excited to talk to each and every one of you about some of the latest Marvel news. I, as always, am Christian Bladt, and today we have special guest, the one, the only, the Flobito himself, Mr. Flobo Boyce.
I can't believe it. I'm actually on Marvel Movie News. It's exciting. Christian, I think you and I are going for every one of these shows that we worked on together, like the Infinity Stones. Like, what's next, right?
Yeah, my glove is missing a few of the shows, but Flobo and I have done, we've done a few Star Trek shows. Maybe you recognize him from there. If you're a fan of the WWE and you watch any of the AfterBuzz programming, you probably know him from that. Look at that right there. Yeah. And, you know, I think most people know us from our Chambers after show, but you know, that's
yes, most people do know us from Chambers.
Anyway, this is Marvel Movie News episode number 279, unless Ryan tells me I numbered it wrong, but I think I got it. I think it's 279. Of course, live from Wakanda forever. Everybody knows that. And don't forget, you can also find us on iTunes at Marvel Movie News. You can subscribe there. YouTube.com/Popcorn Talk Network and the website popcorntalknetwork.com. On Twitter at Marvel News PTN or at the Popcorn Talk. And if you tweet out a link to the show, we will definitely shout you out here in the show. As you notice, we are back, but neither Zia nor Zach are with us, but I believe that they are in a high-level cleanup for damage control, and they're doing a lot of sweeping right now. Let's just say Thor had an accident, made a little bit of a mess somewhere, and it's a multi-week cleanup. You know, you can understand. You know,
yeah, I commend him for taking the call.
I commend him around that hammer. Yeah. Thor's not going to stick around and sweep. You know,
right?
Yeah,
I demand another.
And of course, let's not forget about Colt Badeau tweeting from the Starjammer, our great friend Colt Badeau, who has some feedback for one of the topics we'll have in a little bit. And let's not forget, back in Mission Control, back in our Avengers compound, the one, the only Mr. Fantastic. Although if you're Mr. Fantastic, I'm going to say you're back in the Baxter building. Mr. Fantastic, Ryan Nelson, thank you, Ryan, for all of your assistance.
Happy to be here.
There's a few things to talk about. News, obviously, we've been away for a little while. I wanted to start with something that was a story that I think a lot of us probably remember. It does not in any way seem inherently Marvel related, but it was the story of an African-American gentleman. His name turned out to be Christian Cooper. He was bird watching in Central Park. And he, I believe, told a white woman that she should be wearing a mask. And she called the police on him, and they came, and she was the one who lost her job. She got her dog taken away. I believe she's what they call a Karen. And the reason why we're bringing this up on Marvel Movie News is that it turns out that Christian Cooper actually has a very strong connection to Marvel Comics. He was going back decades. I remember the Marvel swimsuit specials. Flobo, this is going to be a little bit before your time. It would be like, you want a sexy picture of Jean Grey? We got that. You want modeling pics for Mary Jane Watson Parker, excuse me. In an iteration when they were married. And so he was involved in that, and he's getting credit. June is Pride Month. So I specifically wanted to highlight this because he made sure that there were it wasn't just a bunch of let's just say like girly pinups in the swimsuit special. And Ryan, one of the photos that I have is it's Doctor Strange in a in like a thong. So we got it
finally.
Yeah. So, and look, I think that it's important to kind of give credit to this. And somebody who, he also introduced Star Trek's first openly gay character in the comics. But yeah, the swimsuit issue, it was described as, let's see. So I was trying to attribute the quote to someone that worked with him. and said that the year that Christian Cooper got in charge of the swimsuit special, that year's issue was the gayest thing you ever saw. Like, installations all over the northern hemisphere just straight up burst into flames. Anyone who beheld that book from a distance of 20 feet became, by genetic testing, 3% gayer. This is all a celebration for that. And if you think like the early 90s, I think that it's kind of a bold choice and widely celebrated, as some of those pictures are. Let us know in the chat what you think of that. Flobo, did you even know that there was a Marvel swimsuit edition that came out back in the day?
It's funny you mentioned that because I've heard some comic friends have talked about that in like hushed tones. I thought it was a legend. I thought it was something that people just talked about amongst themselves that were passed down from generation to generation. But I see actual evidence of Doctor Strange showing everyone his equipment.
Well, his mystic art, as it were. Yes.
Yeah. How about that?
Zeno Hour in the chat says Christian Cooper faced the worst supervillain ever, a Karen. Absolutely. And Seattle KO jumped in with the 4 Karens of the Apocalypse. Was a pretty good meme. So
yeah, I think memory serves. It was like the dog wasn't leashed or something like that. It was something really innocuous.
Well, yeah, that's what it was. That her dog wasn't on the leash, and and then she's like awkwardly holding the dog. So I thought I was reading that because I remember that story. It obviously came up. We talk about stuff like this on the show. I do the Trump Report. My day job, I work with comedian Dennis Miller. We talk about stuff like that on his podcast for Westwood One, the Dennis Miller Option. Yeah, that's right. I just worked the plug-in. It happens.
Yeah.
But so I just was like excited that there was a Marvel connection. And because it is, as I mentioned, it is Pride Month, I thought we should mention that in there. So congratulations for him for getting some recognition. And, that Karen encounter did not go the way that she thought it would. Flobo, when you and I were talking about how we were going to have you on this week, and it's been a long time coming. This is maybe one of the only shows I do that you haven't been on yet.
Yeah, Trump Report's next.
Although, except you hate politics, even though you ran for mayor.
I know. What am I thinking?
Yeah. Well, and look, Twilight Zone's coming back, so you'll probably try and drag you into that. But we were just sort of talking about possible topics, and you had the idea that we should take a couple minutes and talk about Dwayne McDuffie. And so I think that's a great idea. I'm very familiar with some of his work, and also the reference to Damage Control earlier is because I believe he co-created the characters of Damage Control, and that really was a series where it was, but after the battle, what happens? And it really was about like, okay, now we have to sort of clean up this mess from superheroes fighting. Batman versus Superman. I know that's a different universe. They sort of dealt with, hey, remember when Superman destroyed Metropolis? Yeah, look what happened. So Damage Control was it was kind of a cool idea. It was a very lighthearted sort of a thing. So what made you think of Dwayne McDuffie?
It's funny because even though he has a Marvel connection and he did kind of leave on not so ideal terms, there's 2 big things about Dwayne McDuffie's legacy that I really, really enjoy. And that is, one, the Milestone universe, which isn't Marvel specifically, but really was like the addressing the diversity of our comic book characters and giving origin stories to people of color and women, those who were HIV positive way back in the 90s when that was considered not necessarily taboo, but it really, really wasn't the focus of the main 2 publishing companies at the time. And the second one is him being completely self-aware. I mean, the legend goes about being fed up with so many characters at Marvel looking a certain way. Specifically the Black villains having skateboards, and he came up with a tongue-in-cheek pitch for Teenage Mutant Negro Thrashers because everyone was on skateboards. Being totally self-aware about what was missing in comics is really what his legacy is. There are a generation of kids that know and love Static Shock, for example, on the DC side, but that wouldn't have existed if someone said, hey, look, let's look at these demographics, let's look at what people need. There is a need for us not to project our races, our backgrounds onto Superman or onto Namor, but rather have people that look like us, like a Miles Morales. We'll get to later because he himself has a whole new following as well. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's definitely, and it'll kind of continue this way. There's a generation that Miles Morales is who they think of first when they think of Spider-Man, And I think that, look, there are, not just Marvel, but that's what we talk about here. Marvel did have some great African American characters that were introduced in the late 60s and early 70s, like Luke Cage and, of course, Black Panther. But yeah, I think to the point that of what he was commenting on, I mean, that's the point where I read the majority of the books that Marvel put out. I probably read at least at some point from the mid 80s to the early 90s. And, there were great examples, but there also was the character Night Thrasher who inexplicably had a skateboard, and
Yeah.
I don't know why. I think it was a flying skateboard at some point.
Yeah, there really was a cool. I think skateboards were shorthand for like cool and irreverency. Because
Yeah,
even in games like Streets of Rage, I mean, even like the rollerblades and all that kind of thing too, was kind of like these guys are on the move. They're edgy, you know.
yeah, and just reading about Dwayne McDuffie, tragic. I knew he had passed away, but what I didn't realize that he just went in for routine heart surgery. Oddly, like at the hospital where both of my children were born in Burbank, and
Oh
just he
wow.
went in like right after his 50th birthday, and he died during complications of surgery. So I don't know. I thought that I don't know what I thought had happened to him, but I knew he'd passed away a while ago. So
Wow.
I was glad that you actually reminded me of him, because as soon as you said it, I knew exactly who he was, but I hadn't thought about him in a little while. And I thought that there is a strong Marvel connection, and I thought it was good to give him a little shout out here. And I appreciated him being the first name that you thought of, when we had this topic. Now, moving along though, Flobo, people who know you from other AfterBuzz shows,
Yeah.
they know not just from the award-winning Chambers After Show that you and I did,
What award
but
did that win?
the the one person who watched it, I gave an award to. I said
Construction
thank you.
paper. It was all written
Yeah, I
down.
was like,
Sure.
thank you so much. We appreciate it. It was a little. I did a little crochet pillow, but
Okay.
you do a lot of WWE stuff on here,
That's true.
on AfterBuzz on our sister network,
Yeah.
and so because of that, I wanted to start off with a fun topic. We were away for a couple of weeks, so I just wanted to dust off the spider webs, kick the spider webs, whatever you want to do, and I wanted to get your thoughts really fast. Who you think are immediately come to mind three superstars or three wrestlers from the WWE that you think would fit really well in the MCU?
So this is going to be a lot of fun because I know the chat's going to blow up. And I'm like, oh, what is Flobo thinking? What's going on? But let's talk about the current WWE champion, Drew McIntyre, right? The Scottish psychopath, the Claymore country. The guy is a specimen of a man, 6'5", 265. Just the way he looks at it, I see two things in two different directions, but I want you to walk with me. On one hand, I'm thinking Marvel's Hercules. Because if we think about these giant sword and sandals things, we're thinking about accents. I'm going with that. But
he's got the beard.
He's got the beard. But this might be a spirited casting choice. Why not dip him in silver and give him a surfboard?
I love that idea. I think getting an MCU Silver Surfer should be a very high up on the list. We need our X-Men, we need our FF, but I want the Silver Surfer as well. It's not a bad call.
Okay, moving on. How about this? Sasha Banks, the boss, the blueprint, if you will. I got two. One may be a little bit weird. One might be a little cool, but I'm thinking either Spider-Woman or Monica Rambeau.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Now they've cast someone as Monica Rambeau for the Falcon and Winter Soldier series, unless yes. But you're like, yeah, but what about for movies?
Yeah.
That can still happen. I get it. I get it. Yeah, look. You got a couple actors playing Spock right now. Why not? I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I think that we're going to get Spider-Woman in the near future. I think that would be a Sony property. But I mean, the Jessica Drew Spider-Woman is a character that I would very much like to see. And I think the only thing that I insist, she keeps the blue hair.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to the chat that also said Drew McIntyre would be a good Kraven. Why not?
Yeah, actually, it's a great idea. Kraven the Hunter. Yeah.
And lastly, this is Braun Strowman. I got two for you there. Braun Strowman, the monster among men, 6'8", 385. One of them is telling me the thing straight up. I want to see an MCU thing that's definitely homegrown, but
Yeah.
I want also the Bradley Cooper treatment. I want the Vin Diesel treatment. I want Braun's voice, Braun, to be Marvel's Devil Dinosaur. Thoughts?
Whoa, Devil Dinosaur. Now that was a deep pull, and I think that for a character like that, you do need a great iconic voice. And yeah, I mean, I think those are great calls. Now, our friend Colt Badeau, when I mentioned that you were going to be on, he had some suggestions for WWE superstars. He is going up and down. He's said to me so many times that Becky Lynch should play Elsa Bloodstone. He would like to see Dolph Ziggler, and he mentions Big Show, who, the little bit that I know about Big Show, I see him as the Juggernaut. Tell me if I'm wrong on that.
Wow, Big Show back then in his prime, maybe, but I think Old Man Big Show, maybe not. That'd be a very, very
how about they do a movie
Juggernaut?
How about they do a movie Old Man Juggernaut?
Actually, I'd be down for that.
Like we got Old Man Logan.
Just sitting there like, what can I run into today?
Well, let us know what you think of Flobo's picks. And if you're also a wrestling aficionado, who do you think should be in the MCU? And of course, when we say MCU, we also will accept MCU adjacent universes like Spunk, the Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters, which we talked about a number of weeks ago. Let's get through some of the news that we got. There's little bits of things. We're starting to see indications that productions might be resuming. One of those was an Instagram post by Salma Hayek, where she showed that she was getting her roots done, which ordinarily you'd be like, why are we talking about that in Marvel movie news?
Yeah.
Well, she was getting her roots done, and she showed that off so that she could be, I think she actually said, getting ready for Eternals reshoots. So Eternals reshoots, I guess they at least have a projected date. And look, you get to see the before and after of Salma Hayek. And, lovely photos, both of them. But I guess they feel like the one on the right is a little bit more camera ready for the character that she's going to portray in the Eternals. This is a property that we don't really know that much about. You're diehard Marvel fans. I have read comics with the Eternals in there. But Flobo, you hear a little bit about this movie. You hear about the very eclectic cast that they have. What are your thoughts as we hear about this Eternals movie, which, is in theory set to open in February?
Yeah, I'm actually on board for it. I know a lot of people who are more casual fans of the movies, those who read the books, were saying, I'm tired of superhero movies. And so I think to keep that fresh, you go through properties, you go through things in the back catalog people are less familiar with. And I remember the first wave of superhero films, the second wave, and people were kind of getting tired or fatigued. In comes Guardians of the Galaxy, which most people will admit they did not read. I'll admit, I read one comic because it was thrown in for free one time when I was a kid, but then going, oh my gosh, it's a whole new world, a whole new corner of the universe. So I'm on board and I can't wait for it.
Yeah, and Guardians of the Galaxy is a perfect example. I had read comics with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and none of those characters were on the Guardians of the Galaxy when I read there. They had their own ongoing comic in the early 90s, and that's not what the lineup was of the team. So yeah,
Can I just jump in here real quick and say thanks to Lewis Cox who super chatted, supported the show. Thank you so much for your donation on Marvel Movie News.
Man, Flobo comes, we get super chat. I don't know, Ryan. We don't usually get super chat on this show, so
it's true. It's Flobo.
Yeah, you know what? They're like they see Flobo. They know that they go to flobito.com for new content every week. Right now, new content every day.
Get a shirt.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? You're right. Get a shirt. Yeah. Well, your birthday's coming up. What a great birthday present to you for somebody to order a shirt from flobito.com.
That's true. My birthday is Thursday, so I can't wait. 7 days away.
All right. 7 shopping days left for Flobo's birthday. Moving along, there's this very, very elaborate plan to have the NBA resume play. And it's you're like, well, what's the Marvel connection? There's a couple. One, they're going to be playing at Disney. So, parent company of Marvel. And also, apparently, the players will be able to see a number of Disney films that have not been released yet, including, at least reportedly, they'll get to see Black Widow this summer. Now, we were supposed to see Black Widow about 6 weeks ago, and that's not the way that played out. And as of right now, we're still supposed to see it in early November. That continues to be the sort of the safe space where movies can come out. We know that over on the DC side of things, Wonder Woman was supposed to come out. It was supposed to come out last week. Then it was going to come out in August, and now it's going to come out in October. People are starting to think like, well, by the fall, people are going to come see movies. So if you're in the NBA, you'll get to see Black Widow. But here's what I say to everybody in the NBA. Please, no spoilers. We're not going to get to see it for a few months. Can you please keep the spoilers to yourself?
Yeah, I can just imagine the press conference like, today was a good game, and guess who dies in that movie?
Yeah.
Thinking LeBron, why? No.
Yeah, exactly. Like, LeBron, come on. What are you doing?
I'm just hashtag. You know what? I think it's a cool idea, I guess, to help with morale. There's people always say they're athletes, they get millions of dollars, but they're up with their families. You're basically playing on the island of Dr. Moreau, right? It's kind of a weird vibe and thing. So props for at least Disney saying, hey, while you're in the house, get to see the screening room early.
But you can't come to our theme park like 2 miles away. You don't get to go. Yeah. No fast pass, no park hopper. Sorry, you guys have to stay in the NBA zone. So in terms of, we mentioned Eternals reshoots. In an interview with Vanity Fair, producer for Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, Dan Wilson confirmed that they did finish principal photography before the shutdown, but they do need to do some reshoots. And again, every movie does some reshoots. That we just talked about Eternals doing it. That doesn't always mean, oh my God, the movie's a disaster. Sometimes it means that, but it just means that they need to do some reshoots, and they actually have no idea when they'll be able to do those reshoots. So that's why that film, it was on target for, I think, Halloween weekend for a while. Or no, that was Morbius. Morbius was supposed to come out over the summer. So both of those have moved to next year because just realistically, they're not going to be able to get the reshoots in time. So did you see the first Venom, Flobo?
The Sony one? Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, it didn't knock my socks off, but it was definitely a fun way to kill a couple hours.
It's not Avengers Endgame, but Tom Hardy was good. I thought that they did some fun stuff with it. I was looking forward to the second one. I'm still looking forward to the second one.
Yeah.
Woody Harrelson and
Kirsten is like, if everything getting pushed to next year, do you think we're gonna have a bunch of a crunch with all these movies?
Well, yeah, and we've talked about that on the show. There'll be a point where there's like 4 Marvel movies coming out in the same year. You've got them coming out like 6 weeks apart. I do think that there will be maybe some continued shifting, but when you're seeing a movie like, to go back to Wonder Woman or the James Bond film Die Another Day, just moving it and then moving it again, I think you're like, all right, let's just move the stuff that we know we need to move right now. So we'll leave Black Widow in November for now. We're going to leave Eternals in February, but what if we don't get our reshoots in time? It looks like they're happening soon. But I think that we are going to get that crunch, and that's going to be what it takes, I think, to get people back into the movie theaters, which we've talked a lot on this show about in the last few weeks. Just sort of No Time to Die. I called the James Bond movie the wrong thing. But look, at least I didn't call it Octopussy. All right, I knew that's one that already came out. All right,
throwback, right?
Right,
all-time high, right?
Might be the funniest name. That and Moonraker. Yeah. Anyway, so I think we're gonna get a lot of these Marvel movies, and we are Ryan in the chat, Doc Octopussy. So there you go. That's not as good as a super chat, but it's very close. Thank you, Ryan. So and we're going to get a lot of these movies, and that's what I've talked about, is that the movie industry is going to need a lot of stuff where you're like, oh, I really want to see that. It's like, these are things that are not going to come out digitally. They'll wait as long as it takes. It's if Fast and Furious 10 has to come out in 2023, it will.
Yeah,
they're not streaming it on Peacock.
Right,
they're going to make you go see it. You're going to have to spend money.
That's the first movie that was like, no, we're coming out next year. Forget even delaying it.
And I said on this show, I'm like, they're going all the way to next April. That's so crazy. But now they're like, oh, they were smart. They knew what was up. They're like, yeah, we got this day in April. You guys do whatever you want. But yeah. So, I see that being challenging, the idea of getting your reshoots in, but it's just the reality of it. And I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see how much we stick to what the release schedule is we have right now. You're hoping everybody's healthy. You're hoping businesses are be able to stay open, but it just, you run into production issues like, okay, well, we can't do these reshoots now because this person was supposed to be done with this other movie by now, but they're just starting it. So I think you'll run into some of that sort of stuff. There was a very funny, there's 2 tweets from James Gunn, which I believe I put in I dropped in the image folder for you, Ryan. It was in response to a report that Venom, speaking of Venom, will be part of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And writer-director James Gunn tweeted, "No further reading required after," using air quotes, "and if a recent report in We Got This Covered is to be believed." And then in a follow-up tweet, he added, "Yes, Speed Racer and Popeye and Cerberus the Aardvark will all be members of Guardians in Volume 3, or at least that's what I read, and We Got This Covered." For people that do shows like this and you rely on a lot of, internet reporting, and, we'll always give credit when somebody else breaks a story and we see it, whether it's on here or the short feature that we do, Marvel News Daily, when there is news daily.
Yeah.
And you might not know We Got This Covered, but I sure do. And when we've had topics on this show where I'm like, well, it's a slow news week and this is never going to happen, but this is a fun conversation. Right. That's usually something that was reported by We Got This Covered, or a site very similar to that. It's a high trafficked, largely incorrect source. So I thought it was very funny for James Gunn to call that out. Flobo, I'm sure in terms of comics and things like that, but I'm sure also there must be sources, wrestling sites where it's just like they're just looking for clicks, and it's like they're never even close to accurate, right?
It's a huge parallel. There's like 2 or 3 like journalists that are like legit in the sense they've been doing it a long time, and they have newsletters, and everyone just like quotes and requotes and retweets. And then there's a bunch of people who just say, "Here's a rumor, but it's unconfirmed." And it's like, well, what is an unconfirmed rumor than you making it up, right? So.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was funny. James Gunn has a very funny online presence, and we all remember the backlash over some old tweets, and you get the impression that he's certainly learned from that, and Marvel's happy with him, and he's still working diligently on the Suicide Squad. So looking forward to both of those movies. I don't pretend that I don't see the DC movies. It's just people get mad when I say I don't like them, which is not the case for all of them. I'm just saying there might be a couple that I didn't love. Anyway, something that we talked about in the show a while ago, it's getting a little bit more credence, is a British tabloid publication is now trying to give credence to this idea that Beyonce is in talks to do at least a song and do some music for Black Panther 2. Now, when we talked about this, Zia and I both talked about we're not unexcited for it. We're just not particularly excited because we understand what a force Beyonce is. It's just not our kind of music. We just, it's like if you told Zia that, Iron Maiden is doing a song for the new Spider-Man, she'd be excited.
Wow.
If Alice Cooper was doing a new song for the Morbius movie, that would be up my alley. But I understand this is a huge thing if this were to come to pass. What do you think, Flobo, about this idea of Beyonce and T'Challa teaming up?
I am kind of in the middle. I understand the force Beyonce is, and I can't lie to you. I also DJ weddings, and Beyonce has saved me way too many times for me to poo-poo on Queen Bey. I don't pop in a Beyonce CD myself, but if you think of Black Panther and what that movie did for representation, or in my case specifically, first generation representation, that dynamic of being from one place and having a heritage somewhere else, and the family dynamic of which one are you truly, putting Beyonce on that album, if it comes to pass, could be absolutely huge. It could be the song that crosses over to mainstream radio. Why wouldn't you do it? But I'm not sure if it was coming. I didn't do a lot of a song and dance. Like, I really say that it's not going to be happening. It may be happening. We don't know.
Yeah, no, I can imagine DJ Flobito. It's like, oh man, if only there was a song where I could get all the single ladies out on the dance floor. Wait a minute.
Oh man,
thanks, babe.
I can't. But the good point you made up. The last album, the last soundtrack for Black Panther 1, I guess. All the Stars is one of my favorite songs. That song reminds me of like my own family, my own heritage, and all that. And the one they did with The Weeknd, who gonna pray for me? Like that song I play in clubs, I play in bars, and that still kills. So
and that's why we have you here, is because we wanted you to sing. So thank you.
Yeah, man, off key. That's why I play the songs and don't sing them.
New singing every week, and we appreciate that.
Yeah,
another very popular character, once in the comics, married to T'Challa, is Storm. And there is a change.org petition that is trying to pitch Pose star and transgender activist Dominique Wilkins. Nope, that's a basketball player.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Dominique Jackson. That's exactly why I have this open, because I knew I was going to make that mistake. And that's one of those things where in your head, like, don't say Dominique Wilkins.
I was like, he's cheering.
And then I did. So that's one of those self-fulfilling prophecies that I had the dream that I would say this, and I did. Right. Dominique Jackson as Storm, and she was very appreciative of this petition. And look, I didn't hate Halle Berry as Storm. Maybe some people did. I thought she did a fine job. It was all right.
I eventually did. I was like, okay.
It took some getting used to. Look, nobody is going to top the Storm from the animated series. Just
Agreed.
The way that she spouts off, sort of the, casting her, basically like casting spells while she's, using the weather. I liked Alexandra Shipp as well in the two more recent ones as younger Storm, because I'm from the era where Storm had a mohawk and a leather jacket. So that's what I really want. But look,
very specific. Who's gonna be Storm? I don't care. Mohawks. That's what
I mean. Mohawk Storm is where it's at. I should have pulled an image of Mohawk Storm for Ryan, but there's already like 100 images in there. So you got to draw the line somewhere. We'll do a whole show: Mohawk Storm or Goddess Storm. You make the call. But so look, I think this is I love that people are this passionate about the character. I think it's I'm going to admit I have never seen Pose, but it's certainly an opportunity for some inclusive casting. So if people are excited about it, I like that people are that excited about the characters. You know what I mean? That they're like, yeah, let's start these petitions to try and get things happen. So
I've seen as little as one trailer for Pose myself, but definitely looks the part. I mean, obviously you can't tell acting chops from a trailer, but definitely if I saw that. If I saw that, I'm going to say it too. Dominique Jackson, not Wilkins.
You did almost say it.
I was like, oh, Kristen, no. If I saw her in costume, I'll be like, oh yeah, definitely.
People are going to start tweeting at Dominique Wilkins, and he's like, what? I'm doing what now?
Yeah, I heard on Marvel Movie News.
I can't make weather. Anyway, so reportedly, J.K. Simmons is signed on for multiple Spider-Man sequels, which I know we were all very excited in that post-credit scene in Spider-Man Far From Home, which if you're a longtime viewer of this show, or even just for the last year, Zia and I went to a press screening of that, and we had to sit on it for like a week. The fact that J.K. Simmons is J. Jonah Jameson. We wanted to tell everybody, but we didn't want to ruin it. So maybe we would text each other once in a while about how excited we were. But what do you think about, just this idea that somebody else would have played J. Jonah Jameson? It never really sat right with me. I'm sure they could have found somebody would have been great. But this idea that they're this invested in having him portray the character, what do you think about that, Flobo?
If he's down, why not? Because he is J. Jonah Jameson for a generation. Now, I know people between the ages of 12 and 24 are going to be like, the farmer's insurance guy is going to be in Spider-Man. But there was a time where he was definitely a comic book character come to life in the Sam Raimi trilogy. If he's down and he can do the part, why not?
Yeah, exactly. And, but I always look at that face and all I can think of is not my tempo, but him as JJJ is definitely my tempo. Keeping it to Spidey, and we've been talking a lot about this. We've alluded to it. It's the great thumbnail for this episode. It's part of the title. Is this Spider-Man Miles Morales game that we got a trailer for, which I'm going to admit, when I saw the trailer, at first, it sort of like started auto playing on Twitter. I'm like, oh, is this footage from the next Spider-Verse movie? Wow. Because it looks that great, I mean, so we have a little bit of information about it. It takes place a year. This is according to Get Fandom. It takes place a year after the first game, the Marvel Spider-Man, and the battle is around Miles' new home in Harlem. It'll be a full story arc like Uncharted, The Lost Legacy, near instant loading, ray tracing, 3D audio. I don't know what any of that means. I'm gonna just. But there's also more of Peter's story that'll be told in this. So the idea that, look, we have that Spider-Man, our own Mr. Fantastic. Thanks for everybody who hung in there. We had what we like to call in the business technical difficulties. Please stand by. And you stood by. We were in the middle of talking about the Miles Morales Spider-Man video game. And Flobo, how excited are you for this game? You were talking about sort of this character being a representation. Yeah.
We were talking about the diversification of the Marvel line, and a lot of people who are just jaded, they go, well, comic book characters haven't really changed over the last 30 years. If you look at things like Harley Quinn and Deadpool, those are really recent creations. But Miles Morales, I have not seen a character go from being like WTF to OMG in such a short time. Miles is awesome. He's from Brooklyn, like this guy. Toronto wants to be the best kid possible, an alternate take on Spider-Man, but still it's faithful to the source material. I think this game's a long time coming.
Yeah, I think that, look, when you grow up like I did, and, I always loved Peter Parker, the idea that somebody else was Spider-Man, I'm like, whoa, hold on a minute. But I think they did it in the perfect way with Spider-Verse. It's like, don't worry, Peter's still out there. This is just Miles' universe. And the Marvel Spider-Man animated series on Disney XD, they're both Spider-Man, and Spider-Gwen is there. You got everybody, So I love that. I'm very excited. As I admitted, I'm not much of a video game person, but I can't wait to watch other people's gameplay and see because that Spider-Man game from last year was crazy, all the stuff in it. There were great Easter eggs, and it'll be interesting to see how this continues Peter's story as well. We're getting some great comments in the chat for MCU James Bond titles. There's so many. I'll try to get some more in there, but the one that caught my eye while I was looking for something else, William Walton for Thor Eyes Only. There's more. I promise I'll read some more of them before we end in a little bit. I just wanted to make sure that we got that. Look, I think that's very exciting that we're going to get this new game. And yeah, look, Miles is getting the appreciation that he deserves, and there's plenty of stories out there with Peter too. So it's everybody wins. Everybody wins, So there's also this Marvel's Avengers game that they had to take down a controversial tweet that was basically considered. You hear the term tone deaf a lot these days, and that's, I guess, exactly what this was. It was what it said. I had to look it up. Yeah. So there's this trailer for it, which is great. So if you see this trailer, this did not get taken down. So you see, and what I love about the video games is that they can't really look like the actors. So like Thor, yeah, that's a good Thor from the comics. It was like, he couldn't look anything less like Chris Hemsworth.
Right.
It's just like, I guess, but yeah. So, and we've gotten notice that we've got Ms. Marvel there as well. So that's exciting. People that like the Kamala Khan version of that character will get to see her in this game. So that'll also be out, and people are excited about this, the Avengers play. But there was this tweet that it said, Heroes Park once celebrated the Avengers, but has since been defaced. Despite the AIM drones that surveil the area, there are still people who believe and pay their respects to Captain America. Sometimes you have to adjust your pre-planned marketing, because this is a time where there is actual very valid unrest, people upset about things, including statues. So this was up for a few hours, and then they were like, oh yeah, man, this was a cool visual, but we were definitely not thinking about this.
Play civil unrest the game, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Captain America Civil Unrest. That'll be the game in and of itself. But I don't think that that's tampered the expectations. Now, I don't even know if you can only play these games on PlayStation or how it works. But do you have you played any of these any Avengers related video games at this point?
I play the Contest of Champions, which is the mobile game on that Marvel. And that's kind of cool to see how you can unlock characters. And now that you mentioned it, you're right. They never do quite look like the movie stars. But yeah. I guess I'm in
likeness rights are very expensive.
So. I had no idea. Now I know. It's like Tony's beard isn't like that at all. But yeah, I have not seen much about this Avengers game. I'm excited to see how it looks like when it comes out.
Yeah, no, I know exactly. So for fans of the Marvel Comics, they announced that, they're getting back into a regular publishing schedule. Right now, it's about every other week. Every other week, it's digital releases, and then physical print copies of the books do come out on the other weeks. So every other week, and they're letting you know that they're going to stick to Wednesday because another major publisher has decided that they wanted to go their own way, and they've started doing Tuesdays. And much to the chagrin of a number of comics retailers, and Marvel's like, yeah, we're just going to stick with where it is. We want you to love us, please. So new comic day for Marvel will still be on Wednesday. We're starting to see, a lot of, we touched on this earlier, a lot of studios and unions are signaling that they're ready to return to work in terms of getting back to writers' rooms and film sets. And literally right now, as we're talking, my wife is downstairs working in a virtual writer's room that looks very much like what Flobo, Ryan, and I are doing, and that's the way that things have operated since the middle of March. A lot of shows are looking to get back to in-person writers' rooms, actually filming. And so we're starting to see some of that. Anthony Mackie said that the Falcon and Winter Soldier was on hold, definitely not canceled. Just they can't release it until they finish filming. So there went. I had a theory that well, if you have the first 2 episodes due, why don't you give us like a standalone Falcon and Winter Soldier movie? Give us 2 hours and be like, we'll give you the rest in a few months when we're ready. But I think they want to save it. That's whatever their business plan is. But allegedly, it will start. It'll resume filming in the Czech Republic in July, and we're hearing that WandaVision also could resume filming in July. When you hear about these Disney Plus shows, Flobo, what is your interest level? Has the mouse gotten enough of your money where you're like, no, Disney Plus is where I draw the line, or are you intrigued by these Marvel shows?
Here's the thing, man. The names themselves, when they were released, I went, Winter Soldier, WandaVision, whatever. But I can tell you this, when the trailers start to drop, I'm going to be on board. And that's been Marvel's, but they have enough goodwill that I'm willing to give anything a shot just because of their track record. If I was sitting in a boardroom and someone pitched me WandaVision, I'd be like, nah. But I can guarantee, like The Mandalorian before it, on the Star Wars side, it's going to give you something that has a certain level of quality, maybe surpass the Netflix Marvel series, and to give someone a whole new flavor of Marvel. So I'm down.
Yes, and Ryan and I were on the after show for Mandalorian, and let's just say we kind of enjoyed it. It was all right. No, we were big fans.
You could say that.
Yeah, you could say that. You could say that Ryan's a little excited for season 2, but
hedging your bets. Hedging your bets.
Yeah. So, and there'll also be an exclusive Funko Pop for WandaVision. So obviously that's stuff that people are as excited about. Now, look, I know a lot of you really wanted to hear some talk about Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. today, but we had so much to catch up on from the last few weeks. We really didn't have time. But the good news is that tonight over on AfterBuzz TV, our Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. after show will resume. We're going to talk about episodes 2, 3, and 4 from season 7. So we're going to pack it all in, but you'll be able to see us talk tonight, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. That'll be Rachel, Tehran, and Katie and myself. We'll all talk about that. But the short explanation is that I loved last night's episode, the film noir presentation, largely presented in black and white, almost entirely. So I thought it was really cool, actually. So we'll talk about that tonight. But Flobo, I'm going to look up a couple of these James Bond titles because I want to make sure we get them in there. But that's what I'm going to give you a moment early before we're almost running out of time. Yeah. Where can people find you? Where do people find Flobito?
Before I get to that, I want to say that Captain America, the First Spectre is my new favorite. My name is Flobo Boyce. So glad to be part of Marvel Movie News. You can follow me all over on Twitter at Flobo Boyce, on Instagram at Flobito, and Flobito.com. New content every week. My birthday is next Thursday. Help me celebrate by buying a birthday t-shirt at Flobito.threadless.com.
And of course, that is where you go for new content,
every
not just every week. It's like every day now. Every day. New content every day. Our own Ryan in the Baxter building, he has Live in Hawkeye for Marvel Spider-Man. We also have Golden Hawkeye. So let's see. We had Live in Luke Cage.
That was a good one. That was a real good one. Sweet Christmas.
Captain America Civil World is not enough. All right. I like that. I like the mashup.
That won't fit in the marquee though.
That's a little bit. Yeah. Live and Let Avengers Assemble. The Avengers are not enough. There are so many of these. Winter Soldier and Black Widow from Russia with Love. Again, not going to fit on the marquee, but I like what you did there. They are both from Russia with love. So anyway, there are so many of these. Fantastic for your eyes only. I just wanted to get a few of them in there because it's fun. And if you're watching the archive version, please leave them in the comments. I always love to jump in and interact in the comments after the fact and let us know what you thought of everything we talked about today. I know there was a lot. We had to pack it all into one single show, but we'll be back next Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. You can, as I mentioned, you'll see me tonight on the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. after show. You can find me, Christian Bladt, on Twitter and Instagram at ChristianDMZ. That is all the time we have for this week, but